Hello. I have things to show you before we get started today. I'm sure some of you already know what the main thing is, even though you can't currently see it. It is giving me a bath. For those who follow me on Instagram, Mark and I have decided this week to bring a new friend into the household. Do you guys want to see? Do you guys let me know in the chat if you want to see? Come here. This is Sugar Bear, and she can't be left alone. So hopefully she behaves for the hour and a half that we're live.
Otherwise, she's going to sit upstairs and scream for a little while.
But yeah, Sugar Bear is going to be hanging out with us probably for the next few weeks until she can be by herself. So, hello, Sugar Bear.
Mess up her hair.
Don't mess up her hair. Why do you always...
Because she's a puppy and that's what she should look like.
No. All right. So that's one of the things that I need. Okay. That's one of the things that I need to show you. Hopefully she goes to sleep. The other thing that I need to show you before we get started, and the next one is all thanks to you. Will you stay right here? Okay. She laid down. Something came in the mail yesterday that I think you guys need to see. I got my silver subscriber play button. So this is for reaching 100,000 subscribers. I got it from YouTube. So yay. I don't know if I'll ever hit gold. I've never seen an Etsy YouTuber hit gold. That's 1 million subscribers. So the fact that I got this I've been trying to get this for 7 years. My life feels very full right now, and I just want to thank you guys. I've got a puppy. I've got my little achievement. I'm going back and speaking to my high school at the end of the month and talking about success, after high school, and I'm going to be standing in front of the whole school. I've got so many happy things this month, and I appreciate you all so much. For those who have been here for the 7 years that I've been YouTubing every single week, to those of you who might have just found me today, I appreciate you all so much. So anyway, enough of that. Mr. Moore just needed to run up and grab his phone. Are you back? Oh, it was down here the whole time. Yeah. Of course, that's how it goes. But so good. Today we're going to be talking about some Etsy news that you guys probably didn't notice. I don't know how many of you pay attention to your Etsy emails aside from the ones that say that we made a sale. But there are a couple of, they're not crazy updates. It's not anything algorithmic, but there are some Etsy updates that I think that you guys should be aware of, because I do think that Etsy's kind of moving in a good direction. I did find some news articles that speculate why Etsy's making these decisions, and those are a little bit more sinister. But, those are all just speculative. I'll go over all of that in just a minute. But, yeah, so I think that we're probably good to go ahead and jump into it.
Careful where you click there, genius.
I know. I'm trying. I got a lot going on. And then let's...
Yeah, here, I got you. Okay.
Let's make this nice and big. Okay, so let's go ahead and start here. So 1 week ago, Etsy, in their actual community forums page, one of their staff members posted this about the updates that they're going to be making. So basically, the things that I think that we should, kind of keep an eye on are the new community newsletter, which they've already issued their first one. I'll show that to you in just a few minutes. So we're making it easier for you to stay informed and connected with the latest news on community events, which I really love this because Etsy has webinars and things, and I don't feel like they do enough to advertise their educational events. Aside from Etsy Up, they really push that one. And as you guys know, the last few Etsy Ups have really sucked. It was kind of embarrassing that their last Etsy Up, they did not teach anything. And at the same time, we were doing our Webvember when they did Etsy Up. And it was just, it's to shame that their Etsy Up event was so crappy. And Webvember for us was we taught something new every single week. It was crazy. Trends, which, this is something that they already publish, but, maybe people just don't see them. Seller features. I love this, that they're I mean, I'm assuming that this means that they're featuring sellers, not just features for sellers. Success stories, key platform changes, and actionable tips to help you manage your shop more effectively. So I'm assuming that we're going to be getting these via email, but they are going to be in their announcements page. So I'll show you the first one that released here in just a few minutes. Monthly virtual events and workshops. Now, Etsy already does a decent amount of events and workshops, but again, did you guys know that they do events and workshops? Because they don't do a very good job of advertising them. I feel like they do a great job of advertising to buyers, but I don't think that they're doing enough to advertise, the ways that they're helping sellers. So from Etsy listing critiques, I think that's pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool to get, a public critique. And fireside chats with industry experts to seller-led workshops. Hey, Etsy, invite me for a fireside chat. I want a fireside. I'll fly to New York and do a fireside chat. These events will offer practical advice and inspiration for sellers at every stage of their journey. Again, they do things like this. The Etsy U events, Pam Duthie has done several webinars for Etsy. The seller-led workshops, I like these. Sometimes in the past, they've done some of these seller-led workshops that, I don't know, I feel like they didn't necessarily vet all of the information. There has been some information like mentioned during some of these workshops that wasn't like great. But the fact that,
the sentiment's the same in the chat.
Yeah. The fact that they're going to be doing more, I mean, it's a start, right?
They're trying something, right? That's better than doing absolutely nothing.
This right here, though, evolving Etsy Up, Etsy, you probably should, because the last Etsy Up event was embarrassing. They literally published updates a week before that we talked about on the Friday Bean, and then all they did for Etsy Up was reiterate those updates. I'm like, no, Etsy Up is supposed to be helping sellers get ready for the holiday season and
forward-looking planning and ideas and things that aren't just meant for your shareholders.
Yeah. Look forward to more diverse programming, including seller-led discussions that showcase your expertise and experiences. Content will cater to shops of all sizes, categories, and levels of experience on Etsy, which, cool. I'm excited for them to do that. Hopefully the information is actually worth sitting for, an hour to 2 hours to watch it all, because the last few Etsy Up events have really sucked. More seller meetups. We're continuing our in-person meetups in cities worldwide, creating opportunities for sellers to connect face-to-face with each other and with Etsy staff. I love this, but from what I've seen in the past, most of their in-person meetups have primarily been in places like New York City, which obviously, that's not really accessible to the majority. So hopefully if they're doing more in-person meetups, this whole cities worldwide, let's hope that they take this to heart.
And it's not just like LA and New York City.
Right. And worldwide would imply, some of these taking place in the UK, in Canada. I don't think I've ever seen any of these workshops taking place anywhere other than the US. Feel free to let me know if you've seen an Etsy workshop in your country. But for the most part, I've really only seen these advertised in major US cities. So, but they do say that these plans are just a starting point. So I'm really hoping that this is kind of that community-based pivot that we've all been requesting forever, where Etsy has been so focused lately on, AI and the shopper experience and, trying to get ahead tech-wise. And what they really need to be doing is taking care of the sellers, which is, for those who have just subscribed recently, we did a movement the year before last called Keep Etsy Human, where we had thousands and thousands of sellers tagging them on social media with the hashtag Keep Etsy Human, which was a play on Etsy's, their mission statement, which is to keep commerce human. But obviously shops getting wrongfully suspended and, these bot deactivations and things like that, that is so far from human and keeping commerce human. So we were really trying to stress to them that they needed to do more for the actual sellers that keep their platform afloat. Thankfully, Etsy did make some changes right after our movement. I'm not saying that we were the result of that, but it was quite the quinky dink that a week later, after we had thousands of sellers, kind of fight back, that they made some actions. And ever since, it feels like they're trying to move in the right direction. I will say that a lot of the sellers that I have spoken with, including one of our students who emailed me last night, the sellers who are getting wrongfully suspended, and I genuinely mean wrongfully, not like you broke a rule and you didn't realize you broke a rule. Those who are, have great sales and they sell handmade product and, they follow all of Etsy's rules, no copyright infringement.
The system just kind of sneezes.
Right, exactly. A lot of the ones that I've seen more recently have said that they've gotten their shops back pretty quickly, including the student that came to me, last night. By the time I read her email, I had seen the update that her shop had been reopened. So I feel like, for those who have been scared, maybe the process is getting a little bit better just based on what I've been observing. I am still getting a lot of people who say like, oh, my shop was suspended without notice and, I haven't heard back yet. But those aren't sellers I can really verify. When in last April, Mark and I, when we did the review of 300 sellers who had been suspended, most of the ones who sent us their shops, when we put them in the Wayback Machine, we found reasons for suspension. They were lying about their location. They were saying that they, that they lived in the US when in reality they were, in a different country.
A massive amount of drop shippers. I'd say drop shippers accounted for about 60-70% of the cases that I looked at.
Copyright infringement. There was a lot going on there, and a lot of it was just them not reading Etsy's rules. So obviously when something bad happens to somebody, they're going to go and shout it from the skies. So these sellers who thought that they were wrongfully suspended, they were...
More often than not, they were suspended because they were doing something that was obviously against the rules.
Right, exactly. But that's not, the case with everybody. Obviously, I don't want anybody who was wrongfully suspended and still hasn't got their shop back to think that, we don't believe you. That's not the case at all. We know that a lot of people have been wrongfully suspended. But from what I'm seeing, it does appear that Etsy might be doing a little bit better with reactivating shops that are suspended in error. So hopefully we hear more good news, later in the year.
And hopefully as they work through those cases, they figure out why it's happening and narrow whatever system is doing it down to people who are actually breaking the rules or suspected to be breaking the rules.
Right. Okay, so they did publish this community newsletter that they're talking about. Here is our first community newsletter. Looks pretty cool. So let's see. These are going to have important Etsy updates, community events and programs, opportunities to connect with your fellow sellers, trend insights to stay ahead, tips to help you grow and improve your shop, and more. So they have an announcements thing right here. So we'll go ahead and open it. And these are all linked down below, by the way. So this is the announcements page where these will show up. Let's go ahead and click here. And I guess you can subscribe to their announcements. Announcements, options, subscribe. Announcements, options. Ah, there you go. Subscribe. So if you want to get notified, that's pretty cool. Or you can bookmark the page. But this link is down below if you want to follow along. Here is the very first Etsy community newsletter, basically advertising that there is a community newsletter. Hooray!
Look, we have a thing.
Exactly. Let's see, get the scoop on what's new for our community events and programs this year. So are these interactive? Can we click them? Hooray! We can. And this is the page that we literally just looked at where we found the newsletter to begin with. So it kind of feels like they're just, touting the fact that they have their newsletter. They did announce their color of the year, which this went completely under my radar because I was so focused on Pantone's Mocha Mousse. But Lime Cream is the color of the year.
Okay.
It's kind of like a jade kind of color. I like it. And we saw this a lot in our trend video that we did. Was that last week that we did trends? No, that was open Q&A, the week before last. And we kept seeing this color. I was referring to it as sage and jade, but Etsy is predicting that this color will trend on their platform as well.
Wonder what they base that prediction on.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They decide, and then
Got it.
because, you know, these are the colors that they feature,
I understand.
That's how they create their own trends.
That's cheating.
They do have an Etsy SEO event. I'm definitely going to be watching this. It's going to be January 28th. They do have an RSVP button. So you can click right here and this will send you an email reminder. Looks like 1 p.m. to 1:45 p.m. Eastern. So I always love going to these. I would love if Andrew Stanton, their head of search, actually joined in on these, because there have been some occasions where they have taught things during their Etsy SEO events that weren't
directly contradictory to what they actually are.
Yeah, they have contradicted themselves in the past. So I'm really hoping that it's Andrew Stanton that's hosting this, because he is the guy to listen to. He is their head of search on Etsy. And then Ratish, he is their head of search for offsite for, like, you know, Google optimization. Yeah. But Andrew Stanton is the one you want to listen to for Etsy SEO. Share your listing in the forums by January 15th for an opportunity to have your listing critiqued. So, you know, this is pretty cool that they're doing live SEO critiques. Again, something fun to, you know, check out if you're interested. I'm definitely going to watch that because I want to make sure that, you know, there's nothing new that has gone under my radar. Looks like they are, you know, promoting some of the discussions within their community forums. And then they're also doing some promo videos with different sellers to kind of, you know, promote their stories, which I love that. This probably goes to a YouTube video. I think that's great because I think that they don't highlight the actual sellers enough.
Agreed. So
then they also have, you know, if you don't want to go through it with a big image, you can scroll through and they have it all down here. So feel free to let me know what you think. I think it's cool. It's kind of the information that they always produce, but in a pretty package. Hopefully this is sent in an email format as well, because I really feel like, again, this will just end up being something that goes under all of our radar if they don't heavily promote it. So I would love to see this, like, on our dashboard. You know, hey, Starla, the new community newsletter is out for the week. Click here. Because I feel like, you know, it doesn't matter if they're producing good information if they don't actually advertise it where we can find it. So anyway, so just make sure that you sign up for all these little events that they're hosting, because, you know, these are how you get that good information right from the horse's mouth. And if they say anything that's, like, weird and wacky that contradicts something like their ultimate guide to search, which has happened in the past
many times,
Pam, Duthie, and I'm sure will pick it apart and, you know, point out any contradictions.
Embarrass them at their own game.
I know. That is the thing that I hate, is that, like, I wish that before they do events that they would just, like, read over their own information first. I don't know. I think that it's very strange that it happens to begin with, but I'm hopeful. Maybe this will be something really, really cool. The last, oh, go ahead.
So it said, hold up, Etsy has a program called Etsio because a certain YouTuber just launched another paid program with the exact same name, and it's the one we don't talk about.
That is she who shall not be named, and I don't trust she who shall not be named at all for anything ever. And
check the trademark database and see if she's about to get sued.
Yeah, let's just say that individual is has harmed a lot of people in my community, so we just don't say their name. Don't even give her the time of day in my chat. She who shall not be named. No names, please. Now, in case you guys didn't know, another page that you guys should bookmark is the Etsy.com/news. This, I mean, anytime Etsy has anything important, like, this is where it goes. And I think, again, this is another page that a lot of sellers just aren't aware of. They have articles and things supporting our community when disaster strikes. So obviously this is in reference to the fires and possibly the cold. So let's see, we've developed a comprehensive climate resilience guide in partnership with Nest and the Environmental Defense Fund that outlines steps sellers can take to create a plan for themselves and their businesses just in case the unthinkable happens. I think that's pretty cool. providing guidance from how to manage or temporarily pause their shops. We all know how to put our shops on vacation mode. Recovering and rebuilding. So we operate an emergency relief fund that provides grants to eligible sellers in partnership with Craft Emergency Relief Fund. If that is something that you feel that you need, this might be something really great, especially if you have been, maybe you've had to evacuate because you're currently in California, or if you're in North Carolina and, maybe you've like lost your workshop. These might be links to save. So again, I think that Etsy is actually moving in some really good directions. I think that they realized very quickly over the last few months that obviously they weren't as profitable as they wanted to be. And it's got their shareholders very, very nervous, and sellers have been very unhappy. And they, have been kind of tooting their own horns on all this cool stuff. Like, oh, we've got AI, chat, and we've got, a new algorithm and yada yada, but the sellers are unhappy, and that is causing the entire Etsy ecosystem to fall apart. And for a long time, I just wanted to grab them and like shake them and be like, don't you understand? The sellers are Etsy. If you upset the sellers, Etsy goes away. So hopefully they're finally getting some awareness towards this and working towards, more community focused things, but only time will tell. But anyway, sorry, I'm like losing my voice. I don't know why. But that's about it. I know that this wasn't a huge update for you guys, but I do have all of these links down below. Again, just make sure that you join this event. Definitely follow these little newsletters that they're going to be publishing, because I'm really hoping that this becomes a way that we all stay informed. Not that I don't love, you can go ahead and stop screen sharing. Not that I don't love being your guys' source of information. I mean, I obviously, you guys helped me do this. But at the same time, I think that it's not the responsibility of the YouTubers to decipher the news and give it to you. I will always be here to talk about the news, because I know that sometimes news gets published and you guys don't know how to feel about it and you want, our opinions, but we shouldn't be the only source of news. You know what I mean? We're here to talk about the news, but Etsy needs to do a better job of making sure that they're writing things in plain stinking English so that the sellers understand what the heck is going on. So anyway, I think that that's all I really had, and we've still got an hour to go. So,
questions about literally anything, go ahead.
Yeah. I did want to let you guys know that my 2025 Etsy calendars are out. So if you're wondering, like, when should I start working on Mother's Day product? When should I start working on Easter products? That will tell you when you need to start keeping those product lines and launches in mind. That is linked down below. It's completely free. Just open up, the video description, all the links that we covered today for the Etsy community news. If you want to go in and bookmark those and RSVP to these events, those are all down there. And we are also our fundraiser. Thank you. I saw a couple people have donated already. What is the name of this, the organization again? I always forget because it's kind of a mouthful, but it's for the California wildfires.
California Emergency Wildlife Recovery Fund.
California Emergency Wildfire Recovery Fund. We selected this charity in particular because they focus on underrepresented groups. Because it's unfortunate that like Paris Hilton and very, very wealthy people lost their homes, but what about the people with disabilities and the average Joes and the homeless people and, non-English speakers? So we really wanted to find a charity that supports those who really need the help. Please consider donating. The wildfires, to my knowledge, are still burning.
The winds died down, I think, as of this morning or last night. So the firefighters are finally getting a little bit of reprieve to get in and do their jobs.
Yes. So, please consider checking that out. Every little bit helps. We've already raised a decent amount.
Over 600 before the stream.
That's amazing. And that is just since last week. So
every penny helps.
Absolutely, guys. We appreciate you so much. Okay, let's go ahead.
Good to go ahead and get into questions. First question we had today was, what is my favorite Final Fantasy? And what do you think of Final Fantasy X? My favorite is 7, because of course it is. 16, a close second. It was a phenomenal game. 10 is great. People who think it's cringy only think it's cringy because of one line, and when they say it's cringy because of that one line, it's because they didn't understand the context of which it was being said. Okay, next question.
Don't get him on Final Fantasy. He won't stop.
Everybody talks about the ha 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 line, but he was literally talking to a girl who just found out she was gonna die. So, yeah.
Ha 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 ha.
Okay, what would you do? What should one do if Etsy is saying I'm enrolled in Etsy payments, but on my end it's saying I need to enroll and it won't let anybody buy? Engineering department is supposed to be working on it. I'm a new shop.
Unfortunately, all you can do is continuously reach out to Etsy.
Keep bugging them.
You're just going to need to repeatedly bug them. When it comes to waiting for Etsy support, only Etsy support can help you. And I know that that sucks because their support kind of sucks. My biggest piece of advice is if you're not getting anywhere with their support, try to reach out through their social channels and very briefly, I cannot stress this enough, very briefly and very politely let them know what's going on. Like, try to keep it like 2 sentences. Otherwise, they won't read it. And if you have any like hint of frustration in your tone, they won't read that either. Keep it brief and see if you can get anywhere from there, because we have seen sellers, you know, have success. That's the only way I was able to reach them. I got through to them on Instagram a year ago. Yeah, it would have been a year ago when we went through those 300 shops, and that helped me to get in touch with somebody. But it sucks. I know it. My only this sounds this sounds really bad, but look at it this way: if there was ever any like positive, it's that you're new and you're not like relying on this income source, because it's happened to sellers who have been selling for years where they've had a devastating issue pop up where they couldn't sell anymore and they completely lost their income stream. So you might have to be patient with this one, but don't give up. Just keep getting a hold of them. Sometimes you have to bug them repeatedly. Let's see. I'm so glad she fell asleep.
Stop doing this. It like stops scrolling within the thing. I've had several items taken down and there was no recourse for me to take to find out what exactly was wrong with the item or description. I read the TOS rules and I was following but it cuts off there. There's not really any way for you to find out without messaging Etsy directly. Last year, Etsy, if you're saying that you sold adult products, last year Etsy went on, I don't know what their problem is. They decided they don't like them for whatever reason.
Well, yeah, it depends on what category of adult. Yeah. Basically, anything that can be placed in the body.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
No. Or anything. I think it's anything intended for like bedroom fun in general is not allowed.
No, only things that get placed in the body, I believe.
No, either way.
I believe like jewelry and stuff is fine. But yeah, it just depends on what product it is. But Etsy tends to not tell you anything. I hate to say it. Even if you get a hold of a support person, they're very likely to say, oh, we can't discuss the reason.
What is the difference between drop shippers and sourced by sellers? I think a lot of craft supply sellers on Etsy are kind of drop shipping now. Yeah, I mean, realistically, unless you're making the supply yourself, I mean, it's basically what you're doing is drop shipping.
Well, I think that, so with craft supplies, what they're wanting you to do, and the difference there is that if you're a craft supply seller, you are coming upon those craft supplies in bulk, and you have them at your house, and you're packaging them up, and you're selling them as your brand, which is allowed, as are party supplies, as long as they're not copyright infringing. A lot of people think that, oh, I can sell party supplies, so they buy a bunch of Baby Shark party supplies, and then they get in trouble, and they don't know why. But craft supplies, party supplies, those are items that you can purchase, you can have them at your house, you can package them up, and you can resell them to buyers. I don't know why that's how Etsy's rules are, but that's how they are. Drop shipping is if you were to have a supplier on, you know, Alibaba or something, or Amazon or whatever, and someone were to place an order in your shop, and then you take that money and then you place the order from this other seller, and then that seller is the one who ships it. That is drop shipping, where you are not doing anything. Which, you know, print on demand, a lot of people are like, print on demand is drop shipping.
It's not, no.
I mean, it kind of is.
It's not.
Even Printify says that they refer to themselves as drop shippers, but
that's not what
there's a creative process involved.
Drop shipping originally was like, if you say you have products on Amazon that are readily available, you take that Amazon listing, you duplicate it on Etsy, somebody buys that listing, you then go on Amazon and ship that product. Instead of having it shipped to you, you ship it to the person that placed the order. Right. Most of the time, it's somebody who has a bot that does it automatically, where like when a shop sale happens and then their AI bot grabs it, purchases it, sends it, so they don't have to do anything.
Exactly.
That's what drop shipping is. So if you're going on Amazon, buying a bunch of blankets and then just shipping them, that's technically not okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why Etsy includes the party supplies, because it's like there's plenty of
yeah.
I've always thought that was kind of odd, because
I do too. Then again, some things may not be accessible in one place that are accessible in another. If you're living in the middle of bum-dum nowhere, and you don't have a craft supply store or anything, and you have to order your stuff, and maybe you want to support a small person instead of a place like Joann's, which apparently is about to also go out of business unless they can find a buyer by the middle of, was it next month? Man. I think it's the 25th of February. I could be wrong with that, but Joann's is, unless they have a buyer.
That really sucks. I love Joann's.
If you change an address due to it being unverified during the label buying process, does it make the Etsy purchase protection program not valid anymore?
I don't think so. You're going into your order and you're just I've had customers message me and say, you know, hey, I placed this and I realized that I'm having it delivered. You know, I entered my address, but it needs to be delivered to my best friend's address. I've never experienced any issues with that. But there's nothing in the purchase protection that says that it wouldn't cover it. So I wouldn't think so. The short answer is, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think it would affect it though, especially if they're telling you to ship it to the other address.
I know we can't use trademark characters and whatnot, but I was listing some strawberry cake earrings and I called them strawberry shortcake, but that's a character. Is that still okay? So that's one of those things that we can't really answer, because obviously if something's strawberry shortcake themed, it doesn't necessarily have to be themed around the character.
But it's also the name of a food.
It's up to the interpretation of the creator at that point and their lawyer, I think. You're probably okay, but you're riding a line.
If the design itself is literally a strawberry shortcake and it has no inspiration taken from the character at all, to the point where strawberry shortcakes IP owners, you know, if they're crappy people. They're so crappy that the original artist from Strawberry Shortcake, the woman who drew these characters, like, she doesn't even get any money from it. Look into her story. It's super sad. She has to, like, basically sell art on the side to even make a living. But anyway, as long as it is in a literal sense, like strawberry shortcake, devil's food cake, like angel food cake, you know what I mean? It's a type of cake. It just can't have any brand confusion with the IP of strawberry shortcake.
I'm so hungry. Do we have any update about GPSR? I stopped my sales to the UK because of my 2-year warranty or things like that. Very general. What warranty can a t-shirt or journal have?
Etsy's going to be giving us an update at the end of February, I think is when they said. Until then, we just kind of got to twiddle our thumbs and wait, which sucks. There have been no updates because nobody freaking knows. I don't know. Etsy doesn't know. Nobody knows. I mean, when it comes to actually writing, you know, your little write-in that you want to put in your descriptions, I'll be honest, this might be one of those cases where you ask ChatGPT to help. And, you know, normally I'm a big fan of like writing these things out yourself. But it's a pain. Obviously, you know, not shipping to the EU is probably best just for now. I hate saying this because I feel so bad for the EU shoppers who have to deal with this. But for now, it's probably best to turn off shipping to the EU and wait until we know more. But again, nobody has really said anything. So we're all just kind of waiting around till February, hoping that Etsy creates these. I think that they're, creating tools and resources to help make this process easier is what they've said. We're all just waiting for them to actually do something so we know what the heck we need to do. But as soon as we know, we will obviously be the first to let you guys know.
I have a question. I've had a few sales where the shipping was covered by Etsy, but am I paying for it?
Shipping was covered by Etsy.
I'm assuming, I don't know what you mean by that.
Etsy runs little promotions and things sometimes, where they will like, you know, every once in a while they'll do like some type of sales event where like for the holidays, what was it? Was it like $5 off or something? And that came out of Etsy, not out of your money. I haven't seen one with shipping, but if it says that it's covered by Etsy, I would assume that that's coming out of Etsy's. I'm not aware. Are they doing a sale right now? Because they did one for Christmas, but I haven't seen anything since then. I'm just going to assume that if it says that it's covered by Etsy, it'll be similar to that $5 sale that they did during the holidays where they cover it. But again, I would need to see the like exact screenshot. That's Etsy Insider. Oh, okay. So Etsy Insider does cover for those who are in the Etsy Insider program. So they, yeah, and Etsy covers that shipping. Has that fully rolled out to everybody? Has Etsy Insider fully rolled out to everybody? I was under the impression that they hadn't fully.
Oh, come on.
I was under the impression that they hadn't fully rolled that out. Just got very spooky.
Yeah, there's a software glitch in our light that if I put it at a certain percentage, I'll just turn it down while we're doing the stream.
That's fine.
Turn it back up when you do your recording. All right, this will probably be the final time we talk about this since it'll be gone soon. Feelings about the TikTok ban.
That was just announced today.
Right. So the Supreme Court's upholding it. I did see an article. I haven't actually read through it to verify if it's true, but apparently the current administration is deciding to not uphold it personally. I don't know if there's like something that needs signed or how specifically that works. I've chosen to distance myself. I don't use TikTok anyway, so I don't really care. But they've said that they're going to pass it on to the new administration to decide what they want to do with it. And there are rumors around the rumor mill that China is debating selling it to Elon Musk to potentially keep it up and running in the United States. Here's the thing, the TikTok ban, I am an ex-military intelligence analyst. Doesn't mean I have any knowledge about social media platforms or anything like that. But what I can tell you is that Meta is in the United States. Twitter, obviously, now incorporated within the United States. The only one of the major platforms that is not incorporated within the United States is TikTok. The reason that they're getting rid of TikTok is because they can't get their grubby little fingers on the data behind it to control it. We all know that that's the case. Personal feelings aside, I don't care. I don't have a stake in TikTok, but that's why this is happening. I find it absolutely hilarious. Somebody asked my opinion on this. I find it absolutely hilarious that people are actually going to an app that is now, I don't know if you knew this, it's approved by the Communist Party to exist, which means that they are directly taking data. Here's the thing. Governments having your data, for the most part, other than medical data and some personal data, there are some things that can be done with that stuff, like making your insurance more difficult to get if you have particularly existing conditions you haven't disclosed with your doctor, or genetic conditions because you've done a 23andMe test and stuff like that. But realistically, if you are not someone who is like high-level government security clearance, what you do in your day-to-day doesn't matter. They've struck fear into the hearts of people and banned a platform, and I am huge on the American ideal. I'm big on freedom of speech, and banning TikTok was a massive violation of that. Absolutely massive violation of that. Now, again, this is the final time we're going to talk about it. It's probably going to go away. If it doesn't, cool. Then people have a platform that they can work with, but it sucks for business owners who are already on the platform making a bunch of money, who use it as their main source of bringing traffic to their shops and all of this. I think it's huge. And if you're as upset about it as I am, you should write your Congress people. You should write about how upset you are about this. You should write about how you feel like your rights are infringed. That is your right as an American. And if you look, there was a study done by, I think it was Princeton, that even if the American public 100% wholeheartedly cared about a bill or something going through Congress, it would still only have about a 30% chance of getting turned down. And if everyone in the United States hates something, there's still about a 30% chance that it's going to pass. Write your congressman. The only way that you can get something done is by making your opinions public. That's the last I'm going to speak about this because we get so much hate for spewing personal opinions.
We just did today.
And we just did today. This isn't an opinion. It is the only platform that the US government cannot put their grubby little fingers on, and that is why it was banned. iPhones are made in China. Samsungs are made in China with Japanese parts. All of this stuff is made in China. Getting rid of a single app that people use on their phone isn't going to stop. And clearly it's not going to stop because people are flocking to an app that is guaranteed to sell your information, which, by the way, you're not allowed to talk negatively about the Communist Party on that app without getting banned. You're not allowed to talk about LGBTQ stuff. You're not allowed to talk about pretty much anything the Chinese government does without getting banned. So that's already guaranteed. So before I get more political, it's silly. Write your congressman.
Yeah. And if you rely on TikTok as your income stream, you need to move shit probably before Sunday.
Now, you're already way behind if you haven't.
Sunday is, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen on Sunday. For those who are not on Instagram yet, go there now, because if everyone loses TikTok, where are they going to go? They're going to go to Instagram Reels. Download all of your TikToks and re-upload them to Instagram Reels. You know, you could probably backlog that content for a couple months if you have a decent amount of TikToks. You could schedule those babies out for months.
Right.
And not only that, but we need to think about the fact that, you know, if you are getting booted off of TikTok, so are all of your buyers. You know, I'm going to assume that most of us, you know, rely on a U.S. audience. I know that there's, you know, quite a few of you who aren't in the U.S., but the U.S. makes up a majority of Etsy buyers. They're all going to be booted off too, and they're not going to take the time to use VPNs in order to bypass this. You know, they're just going to move somewhere else because that's the easiest option, and Instagram's going to be it. Down below, this is the time, guys. If you've been holding off on it, down below, my Instagram challenge kit is free. It is free, and it will help you to plan 30 days of Instagram content, and it'll teach you a little bit about how Instagram's algorithm works. And you'll get a post planning schedule, and you'll get tons of ideas for reels and posts. That way you can start generating this momentum. Don't wait until TikTok is gone to start doing this.
And somebody also pointed out, you know, YouTube Shorts is also an option. I wholeheartedly agree. If you're in the kind of industry like this, where people like to watch quick 10-second things about stuff, I don't know enough about it to know if it's a good
advertising platform.
Yeah, I don't know if it converts well. If anybody here uses YouTube Shorts and like has good conversion, let me know. Because it's not really a platform built to like, I mean, I guess TikTok's not really built for like going into somebody's thing and finding their shop and stuff like that.
But they have provable metrics that show that
it does convert. I don't know specifically how YouTube does that. It is what it is.
But just remember that, like, you know, everybody's going to wake up who thought, oh, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. If it happens, they're going to wake up on Sunday and they're going to say, oh crap,
right,
I can't get my fix. You know, it's the people who really love TikTok and they realize like, oh, my little short form content addiction can't be satisfied today. Where else can I get it? And they're going to start looking for those alternatives. And Instagram obviously is going to be one of them. Get on Instagram right now. Make sure that you are on there. Make sure that you've downloaded all of your content from TikTok so that you have it. You can always use it as a backlog and schedule it out. Instagram Challenge Kit will help you make sure that you're structuring that, though, because at least with Instagram, you don't just have to do video content. You can do carousels, you can do static posts, you can do stories. So you also have more posting opportunities there, which could even allow you to take those videos that you already have from TikTok and stretch that even further. If you were to do, you know, one a day or one every other day, that could be months worth of content.
What's your been? Sorry, way too bubbly to drink on stream. I don't know why I did that. What was your experience with Go Imagine support? I need to reach out to them, but I've had a lot on my plate with Etsy shop. I want to make sure I diversify.
They're awesome. Go Imagine support. They're fantastic. They've only got a couple support members and they answer every email. And if for any reason you can't get a hold of them, they are very active in their Go Imagine Facebook group. John Lincoln, he actually just emailed me. I haven't had a chance to email him back, but they're making their memberships free. They've got a free tier now. So if you've been, you know, holding off on listing on Go Imagine, they've got a free option. Go check that out. Their support's great though. He does office hours live on the Maker Circle app, which is a free app for creative, sellers. You don't even need to sell on Go Imagine for the Maker Circle, but it's like a little social media app for craft businesses. He goes live there every Wednesday. So you can ask their CEO questions live, but their standard support, it's great. They've only got a couple staff members and they're all very helpful. They kick butt. They're way better than Etsy support, even for, only having a couple of them.
I wish Etsy would make an AI to auto take down items instead of shutting down the whole shop. That's what other sites do before going nuclear on their user accounts. It's just frustrating.
They do they do that, but then they also
depends on the severity of the thought of the crime.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to drop shippers, they just immediately like shut the whole shop down.
Not a question, but a PSA. If you actually Google Etsy, there is a website for paid services that uses AI for your Etsy listings. I think that's a private company selling a service, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. I don't know.
I know.
I know what the one person has a service.
When there's a trend, is it fine to put it in my niche as long as it makes sense, even if eRank shows that there are no searches for it, since searches go down once you get really specific? The fun thing about trends is more often than not, they're dead within a month. So eRank won't have data by the time that trend is even useful.
It depends on what it depends on the niche. So let's say that you make, let's say that the trend is coffee. You've noticed that coffee is trending. And let's say that you make farmhouse wall decor. Okay, that would be easy to make a farmhouse wall sign, themed in coffee. You can incorporate that trend easily into your niche. And let's say that you notice that coffee, for some reason, nobody's searching for that on Etsy. Well, they might not be searching for coffee on Etsy, and, that trend might not be highly searched. But what are they searching for? They might be searching for kitchen decor, or they might be searching for new homeowner gift or housewarming gift. So there's always other keywords that you can use that aren't necessarily the niche itself. We talked about this in my video on Tuesday. I did another trend analysis with all the, all the trends that I found in eRank. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. But castle core was one of the terms that Pinterest predicts says is trending. Okay, I go to eRank, I search for castle core. Nobody's searching for castle core on eRank, but what they are searching is medieval tapestry or tapestry. People get mad when I say tapestry. Tapestry. Medieval tapestry. Okay, that absolutely, medieval tapestry 100% fits into the castle core aesthetic. So even though the term itself, castle core, the trend is not being highly searched, there are items within the trend that are being highly searched. Does that make sense? So even if they're not searching for the trend itself, try to find the keywords that they are searching for. It's very likely that there are some terms that are very closely related.
Tapestry is the correct pronunciation.
Tapestry. I say tapestry. I alternate. I say it different every time.
It's tapestry.
Tapestry.
Most of the time I disagree just because it's like a UK, Europe versus US thing.
Tapestry.
For a new Etsy store, how many items should you start with? It really doesn't matter. If there's not in the shop, it's not selling, but a good round number like 10.
Yeah, there's no magic number. Don't let anybody make you feel like there's a magic number. Obviously, your goal is to keep people in your shop for longer. So, having a nice, at least first page full of listings is probably ideal. So they have more to look at. But there isn't a magic number. It really depends on what the product is.
Talking about Joann's going bankrupt this second time in a year. How does that even work? They go bankrupt and then somebody buys them out, usually a bank that has no business buying them out for a stake or whatever particular thing. It happened real big in the 2000s, if you remember how the banks got bought out real hard. And then it happens again and nobody wants to buy them out because they didn't prove that they could change. I think it's a little bit silly. I think if your business fails, it should just fail, and that should be the end of that. Take out a loan, and if you still can't get it above ground, then you're done. I'm thinking of adding an Instagram highlight cover for reviews and testimonials. Do you think I should create an Instagram post with the review photo, share it to my story, and then save it to highlights?
Yeah, sure. It's content. I'm all for it. I mean, testimonials, that's a great piece of content. You can even format them. If you go into Canva into their templates and search for like review or testimonial, they have really nice ones if you don't want to just screenshot the one from Etsy and you want to format it a little bit and brand it to make it look a little prettier. I really like how those look. So yeah, absolutely.
Took me plus or minus 2 months to find my designs, what items I want to sell, POD, and so on.
Okay.
I'm starting to get some organic visits, but it's very slow. Is it worth making a new shop for the boost?
No.
You will not get a boost from starting a new shop.
There is no boost for a new shop. That is a myth. There's no boost. Who is saying that there's a boost for new shops? Because does anybody know who's been like, what coach says that? Because I hear that all the time. So
Who's
I know
talking all the crap. I got some dude wipes.
There's no boost for new shops. Any shop, no matter how old it is, has the same opportunity as a shop that was just started yesterday. What the boost comes from is listing a new item. Every new item on Etsy, whether your shop is 20 years old, Etsy hasn't been around for 20 years. Whether your shop is 10, has it? Whether your shop is
maybe
10 years old, whether your shop is, 10 days old. If you list a new item, Etsy gives it a slight boost in search temporarily in order to gauge how customers interact with that listing so they can decide who they show that listing to and where in search it should be placed.
Miranda said it's her.
Oh, is it?
Is it really? Whatever.
Of course it is. Is it really?
Is it really?
Is it really? Or
I won't be surprised. It's not wouldn't even be the dumbest thing. Okay.
But yes, that's not true.
And Kaori had a second part to her question that we answered before this one.
Okay.
Or should I skip the post and share it directly as a story in the 1080 by 1920 format, which works best for stories? This way I won't crowd my Instagram grid with review photos, but I'm not sure.
Pick one per week.
UK question mark guy coach says that, and she says it too.
Oh, well, that's not true.
It's not true. Starting a new shop won't get you a boost. If anything, it'll make it more difficult. You know how many people start new shops and don't see traffic for like a year?
It's not true. None of it's true. You guys,
I would like to see some science and some math behind that.
Tell them that if they've got an official source from Etsy that they can send to me. Cool, but they don't because that's not true. So anyway, but okay, so that is a valid point, not filling your feed with just testimonial photos. I'm a big fan of theming your weeks. If you're going to do a testimonial, do like Testimonial Tuesday. And it's not something that you talk about. You don't say like, hey, everybody, it's testimonial. I mean, you can if you want to. But the point is that you have a better structure for how you publish those testimonials so that every Tuesday you have a post to post. That way you don't just have a ton of, almost same looking images taking up your full like content grid. And if you want to post a bunch of them together, like maybe you have a butt ton of testimonials, do them as a carousel. That way they're all contained within one. She's okay. She's trying to find a comfortable place to go to sleep.
Just making sure she ain't trying to jump off the chair. You know how puppies are.
I won't let her jump.
Puppy science. I jump to my death. It's fun.
She's
stupid. She's an idiot, but she's a sweetheart.
She's a dumb baby. All babies are a little dumb. She just hasn't been...
Sprint towards the edge of the couch and jump.
She hasn't had the life experience to know that hurts.
Capcut is now a paid app. Can you recommend another video edit app? Also, have we confirmed if Capcut is going away yet or not with TikTok?
I heard that it's not.
Okay.
No, and I just found out this morning that Capcut is now fully paid. So is it? Now I want to know because I love Capcut.
Somebody said puppy question mark.
Oh, have they not seen her? You're gonna wake her up.
She's fine. Dissing
Yes.
right here. We got Dissing. Look at that messy hair.
She's seeping right now.
She's a sleepy baby.
It does not appear that it is a fully paid app. Maybe nope. Let me see. You just no, they're not. It's fine. They're not paid. They're not strictly paid. Nothing is showing that it's paid. If you get a thing to no, it's not paid. It's not paid. I've got no paywalls. I'm editing it. I'll split the clip. I'll add an effect. I don't know. I'll add
All right, we got 400 people waiting for the next question.
I know, that's fine. All right, I just made a video of my puppy with an explosion. And I will, yeah, it's not paid. I
That makes sense with the drop shipping, but I also recently bought a fabric pen that I've never seen in a store from Etsy, and it was quote unquote made by, which ended up being a resell of a commercial brand that I know of. That has happened to me. About half of my Etsy purchases have been not actually handmade products.
Leave a review that says that. I mean, I'm not
report them.
I'm not one of those people who's like, go leave a bad review. But if you're genuinely unhappy because they are advertising something that they didn't actually make.
But before you do that, make sure that it's not a production partner and that they're actually, because if it's not listed as a production partner, then it's probably not a production partner. A lot of people do use facilities in places like Korea and stuff like that to produce items that they have designed, which is technically okay by Etsy standards, as long as the production partner is listed as a production partner. That is not the same thing as just buying an already existing product from another company and then selling it on Etsy. That is not the same.
For those asking about the puppy, her name is Sugar Bear, and she's a Chihuahua. Her ears have not stood up yet. They'll eventually stand up. But you guys, if you've been here for a while, you probably remember Itty. She passed away in 2023, so we were ready for another Chihuahua after Itty. So, Itty was 16.
Looks like the majority of the features that have been favorites for free before may now be on Pro, and somebody else said Capcut is now charging new people and users.
Ah, so maybe I'm grandfathered in.
Probably for a specific period of time. I bet you have an email from them letting you know when you're going to pay.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll follow it. Alternatives offhand, I don't, but I'm sure it's something easy enough to Google. That really sucks though, because Capcut's my favorite. They gotta make up that money that they're losing from losing all their U.S. people.
Okay. Is it smart to niche down what countries to sell in a POD shop to make sure fast delivery and good reviews?
To sell in, okay. My question is, is your thought that you're going to say that one shop is located in the US and one shop is located in the UK and one shop is located in Canada?
I think you're misunderstanding the question. I think they're saying if they have a shop and they have a distributor in the UK and Canada and the US, should they only sell in the UK, Canada, and the US to ensure that they get their deliveries fast? So if somebody in like Turkey orders a shirt and it takes 6 weeks to get there because the closest facility is in Germany, like,
I've never been asked that before.
It's a very, that one's out there.
As long as you are being honest about where you are located when you fill out your shop information, what you're not allowed to do and what Etsy will ban you for is if you say, oh, because my print provider is in, the UK, I can say that my shop is located in the UK because you, the owner, are not in the UK. Therefore, you cannot say.
And 9 times out of 10, if they're in some place where something takes a long time to get delivered, they're probably used to that.
Right. So, I mean, it's up to you. I don't really have an opinion on it.
That we can't really answer that. I don't have any data to support my opinion.
That's a weird one. I feel like I've answered pretty much every question that anyone could possibly have, but I've never had that question before. So that might be one to take if you're using Printify or Printful. They both have their own, Facebook groups, but the Printify POD Rockstars group is very active, and it's run by Printify. Maybe ask in there and see if, what some other like bigger POD sellers say, because that's a first. Okay.
Friend says she has success by having 2 items in her shop that's not in her niche to occasionally attract buyers that don't normally shop for her core items. What do you think of doing that? I have no idea. And there's no way to judge if...
That's a survey of one. That's not... Anecdotal evidence isn't scientifically conclusive.
Also, there's no way for them to make that because you can't see customer journeys on Etsy. So how do you know that they came to your shop from seeing that item and then bought something else?
Yeah.
Even if they bought that one item and then bought something else, you still don't know if they saw that item first or if they saw the other item or something else in your shop. There's no way to correlate that data. Like, there might be something there, but there's no way you could prove that.
Right. It sounds like an inconclusive way to stray from a niche while still thinking that you're doing something that is scientifically conclusive. There's no way to prove it or disprove it. But what you are doing is you're straying from your brand, which is why Coke doesn't make, Coke doesn't suddenly start making, I don't know, a brand of like
Lime Coke.
lime Coke. I mean, they do make lime Coke. I
I was
mean,
about to say they do. Coke
but
owns everything, right?
no, I mean, like they don't make like Coke, like clear Coke, Sprite Coke.
Right.
You know what I mean? They know they have like a couple product lines that all kind of fit within their ecosystem, but they're not going to start making, Coke flavored coffee because they don't sell coffee. They sell pop soda. Sorry, we live in Ohio. We say
It's
pop.
pop.
It's pop.
It's pop. Anything else is wrong.
If you want, I guess if you want to test it, you can. I mean, there's no rule against it.
Right? There's no harm in doing it.
There's no rule against it, but to me, it kind of sounds like, adding non-niche items in without any reason other than I wanna, and there's no way to gauge if it's going to help your overall
Right.
brand.
Like, I'm not going to put a toilet in my kitchen just so you'll eat my food, right? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
That's a weird analogy.
I don't know.
but regardless, it's not going to hurt anything. I personally wouldn't, because I wouldn't put anything in my shop that doesn't go with my overall image for what my brand is and my target audience. Because what I want to do over time is tighten my brand, not dilute it. You want to tighten your brand over time and get closer and closer to your ideal target customers, not dip into other target customers that won't buy your core product line. Does that make sense? Again, there's no rules against it, but I can't give you any data, nor will you be able to collect any data that will say whether or not
Right.
it's effective.
Beta Etsy VIP Club gives free shipping, and I've
Yes.
never figured out how to get them to pay.
Oh, yeah, that's
That was a reference to
the
earlier
Etsy
question.
insiders. Yeah.
What is a good length for the videos on each listing be? 10 to 15 seconds, or is a minute plus better for the buyer to watch? Probably depends on the product.
They're not going to watch for a minute. I would go, I mean, typical retention time for short form content is 7 to 15 seconds. So I don't really think it's about the length of the video. It's more about making sure that the video says something. There's nothing, counting down the seconds. You need to make sure that you are expressing a core message. And if it takes you, 15 seconds to fully rotate a design on a cup, then sure, then it's 15. It doesn't seem like something that you should really put a whole lot of thought into. You know what I mean? Your video needs to be as long as it needs to be to get across the message of what your product is. Does that make sense?
Apparently, if Etsy covers the Etsy insider shipping, you still have to pay the transaction fee on the shipping cost. There's likely a legal reason for that, and and this is pure speculation, I can almost bet that if they paid it in full and didn't make you responsible for anything involving the shipping of the product, they would then be responsible for the shipping of the product. So they're probably making you pay the fee in order to make sure that you are still legally liable to ship that product, and they don't have to ensure that it gets shipped. That's probably why. Again, purely speculative, but that's the only reason that I could think of.
I wish you guys could see her right now. She's just like in the crease of my legs, just like a little hot dog. Little hot dog.
Common words can't have a copyright from what I read, although Facebook would let me post a doormat that I use one word, but I think I may have been scammed.
Right, but when it comes to IP on Etsy,
It's a little different.
Right, because despite legally, if it would stand up in court, that it's kind of like the same case with selling vintage items where you're technically allowed to sell vintage products. But if Disney was like, oh, you're selling a vintage Disneyland sweatshirt, we want you to take that down. Etsy isn't, they're going to side with Disney every single time.
Yep, 100%.
So even if, in the instance of the strawberry shortcake, if the strawberry shortcake company decided that they were going to file the IP report, Etsy would side with the larger party that claimed the IP. She's out. She is just dead asleep.
When listing for a niche like eats, Easter.
Easter.
How many listings do you think is a good number before stopping and moving on to the next niche?
Well,
I mean, there's no
Easter isn't a niche.
holiday.
Yeah, that's not what a niche is. A niche
I mean,
is,
it could be, but
I mean, yeah, a niche is an overall target. Like, your niche should be.
I sell kawaii stickers.
Right, your niche should be your brand. Easter would be more like a seasonal trend. There is no golden number, though. I wouldn't invest, a ton of time into. If it's approaching Easter, you don't need to have 600 Easter designs. I mean, it's again, this is such a subjective question because there is no answer to it, and it's going to completely depend. If you're selling Easter, jewelry for Easter Sunday that you wear to church and it's all made out of gold and it takes you, 40 hours to make one necklace, how many Easter necklaces should I list? Well, probably less than the POD seller that spends a couple minutes in Canva and slaps some designs on t-shirts, it's completely subjective. It's another one of those examples of there is no answer to a question when there are an infinite, number of ways to answer it based on what you sell, your target audience, the price and positioning, your overall goals for your shop. Are you a new seller? Do you have any data to support how seasonal listings have done in the past? That would be one of my questions, because the number of there is no correlation between your number of listings and how successful you are. So there isn't a magic number, and I've used that same answer for a similar question. There's no magic number. Focus less on getting how many listings should I have? Focus more on, does my listing serve a purpose? Does my design serve a purpose? Is there a target audience for it? Have I researched, my listing, my keywords, my trend? And, are there other brands that are successful doing something, similar within my niche? Obviously don't steal their ideas, but they can serve as a proof of concept where you're like, oh yes, other sellers are selling something similar to this. Clearly there is demand for this type of item, so I am safe to produce these products. It's so much more about quality than volume.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, it's a question that could have a million answers depending on the very subjective, and specific information for your shop and industry.
I visited the Etsy community page to see announcements and was banned on it. We're sorry, but you've been banned from using this site. Any idea why?
I've seen a lot of sellers say...
Did you say something nice or knowledgeable?
I've seen a lot of sellers say the same thing and they were banned for no reason. And I wish I could...
Have you ever said anything on the website, or did you just sign up? Because, I mean, realistically, most of the time, it just kind of feels like people that post on that are people that spend all their time banging their heads on brick walls anyway in their free time.
I'm going to assume that you probably, just that you didn't do anything wrong and that it's another one of Etsy's glitches. That would be a case where I would, go log into your actual storefront and then try to contact support and let them know, because I've seen that happen before.
Yeah.
I just, unfortunately, only Etsy can fix it.
Right.
But you're not the first. I have seen it in the past.
How does Etsy not realize some of their top shops and jewelry just buy off Alibaba and resell it? I see several shops with the exact jewelry do this. So that actually, I had that exact experience. Are you wearing your fantastic ring? She's not.
No.
I
cleaned up poop today.
It took me, you did clean up poop today. It took me, not joking, almost 8 hours of doing research to find a company on Etsy that was actually legitimately handmade. Jewelry is probably the biggest out of all of it, because there are so many companies on eBay,
fast fashion,
Alibaba, fast fashion, that just sell things for ridiculously low prices, and then you can find them on... If you've ever bought a ring on Etsy, if you didn't really do your research, you probably got real ripped off. And I hate saying that, but it is a real problem. And that's one of those things that if you Google reverse image search anything, you can find all of the listings. It's real easy to do. And sometimes you'll have a shop that is legitimate and somebody on Alibaba took that, made a cheap version of it and resold it. But 9 times out of 10, we know that that's not what happens. However, Josh, in the last investor meet their like looking forward thing where they talk to everybody about what they're going to be doing. One of the things that they really focused on was building their AI to detect those things, specifically looking at Amazon, eBay, and Alibaba,
Temu.
and Temu, to identify listings that share. Now, one of our big worries was that, you know, a lot of shops do have an experience where people will take their picture and just upload it on Alibaba and then ship something completely different that's completely unrelated.
Right, stealing photos.
Right, stealing photos, which does put sellers at risk. However, overall, I think if they were to actually implement that, they could do some good because jewelry seriously needs it. What there was one thing you said, you wanted a ring and you wanted a specific material, and I literally could not find a ring with that material that was not Alibaba drop shipped.
Yeah, like Mossagate.
Mossagate. If you search Mossagate, and I bet I can still do it. If you search Mossagate on Etsy, Mossagate ring, I guess I can't screen share.
Those are all drop shipped.
100%. I can identify every single one of these, and I can even show you guys real quick. I think this is an important thing as a seller and as a buyer. I don't want to use this browser. Give me 1 second.
I was going to say use Edge.
Yeah, I'm going to. So if we go to, let's go ahead and get Etsy open, because you can search your own products this way as well.
1 second.
We're good. Okay, screen share. We type Moss, the gate, ring, verifying the device.
They've been doing that.
You go in here on Windows, it's Windows Shift S. Screenshot this, and now I could get proved wrong here. You can go over to Google Images. You can literally just paste. There's another seller selling it. Will Work Jewelry, Felice Gals, FGem Ring, and they're not all identical.
But some of them are.
But some of them are. And you can tell exactly what you're doing. And you can do this. You can repeat this over and over and over and over again. And I'm not kidding. I spent 8 hours looking for a ring for her before I found... I didn't even have a particular ring in mind, just a seller. I was searching all different kinds of rings. Etsy has a huge problem with this. So I'm with you on this. But in order for them to take care of this problem, it's going to hit a lot of people head on, because there's a lot of people, and I'm sure there are several here, who have had items pop up on Temu or Alibaba or eBay or Amazon where they've stolen your photos. It happens. And unfortunately, their automatic reaction, I mean, I think they even talked about that, where some sellers
take it down first.
They're going to take the listing down first before they even communicate with you. And we know how Etsy is. They're not going to communicate with you.
They don't email you.
They don't email you. So I don't think they've implemented this, or we would have seen a mass exodus from Etsy already. I wish there was something you could do about it. You can't. And spending all your time reporting it. See, the thing that I've noticed is a lot of people that are starting up drop shipping get knocked pretty quick. But a lot of these people have, no joke, like 60, 70, 80, 100,000 plus sales in their shops. It's ridiculous.
I mean, I speculate that Etsy just lets them go because Etsy's making bank.
Because it's an insane amount of revenue. And we could call them out here. We could make an entire thing, and they still wouldn't. I mean, maybe they would. Maybe they would. We've made a hoopla and made them change stuff before. It cannot be coincidental that they changed a week after our movement. Okay. My shop is all retro inspired art for the child at heart. I sell stickers, totes, and prints with my artwork on them. I want to sell vintage and retro finds. Add to an existing shop or start new.
Does it fit the same like funky aesthetic? If the aesthetic is the same, then the target customers will probably be the same. If it's completely, you know, if you were decorating a room in your existing products and your new products, would they all fit together to make a really like cool room? Like, can you picture a really like funky, cool buyer having all of these products together because it all makes sense together? If so, then yeah, it could work. But if you've got two entirely different aesthetics because your target customers are wildly different for these products, that might be where you would want to open a separate shop. But I could see it working just based on what you've said. You'll just have to be very mindful about, for one, how you photograph your products, so that, you know, even products that are very different, if you photograph them in a cool style, like you can create that aesthetic, that style through your product photography, because someone sees it all together. You know, they see your listings that you've had in your shop from the get-go alongside the new vintage items, and the way that you photograph them almost creates like a whole picture. You know what I mean? But I could see it working as long as, like I said, it is all cohesive.
Somebody said I thought they were scared of kids ganging up to stand up for the truth. The thing is, class awareness is dangerous even to a government that isn't crappy. So you gotta be aware of that. Unfortunately, governments don't operate if everyone has an equal share. That's just kind of a fact of life. Are you gonna get the new Switch when it drops? Abso-freaking-lutely. Absolutely. I pre-ordered the PS5 Pro the day it came out. Bunch of our Congress people also have tons of stock in Meta. Yeah, I actually I follow a very specific politician, and she shared a list of politicians that voted for the TikTok ban who still currently today have a TikTok account. It's fun. All these Gen Z kids learning Mandarin on Duolingo. Hey, man, Duolingo, sponsor us. What a wonderful platform that is.
Don't tell them to sponsor us.
Sponsor us.
I have never taken a sponsorship request, and I get them all. The Lead Pages just offered me a sponsorship request, and
we use them all the time.
I use Lead Pages for everything, but I'm still probably not going to take it.
Does anyone use Venmo for their payment accounts? As a new shop, I would like to avoid the $15 a month fee for a Chase business checking account.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't use Venmo. We even have the option for Cash App for our course and stuff now, and I turn that off by default.
I don't know. Venmo feels like I don't know. I don't know. I feel like Venmo is like, it doesn't feel very professional for a business. I mean, maybe it's being highly adapted by, younger generations so that it's more more widely accepted. But to me, Venmo feels like, I think the only time we've used Venmo was to like pay our valet at Club Oceano because they didn't accept credit card, and it was the only way that they would accept a payment. I think that's literally the only way or reason we've used Venmo. I don't know. To me, it just doesn't sound. I wouldn't, if I was going to buy something and I saw that the only option was Venmo, I would probably run, because for some reason, to me, that just doesn't sound. It's almost like, remember the scams where it would be like, oh, Western Union me the money. I don't know. Feel free, for others who maybe use Venmo more than me, because I don't use it, maybe, feel free to weigh in. All right, what we got?
Shout out to my medieval nerds. Yeah, they're getting pretty old.
What the
I've had one specific variant do well. Yeah, they're all in government, right? I've had one specific variant do really well this past month or so. It's now a household meme for us.
Cool.
Does Etsy push a specific variant of a listing or just the whole listing?
The whole listing.
The whole listing, yeah.
I would definitely make sure that variant is the one that's in your thumbnail, though. If it's, the one that's doing the best, make sure that variant is the one that you are, putting forward. Then again, if it's doing so well, like, don't touch anything. I wouldn't touch anything, or, you could always do an A/B split test and try that listing out by itself, with some different keywords, or just ride the wave. Like, sometimes the best thing to do is, anytime we come upon luck, I always say, don't ask questions, just accept it. Like, obviously try to do a little bit of digging to see why something's successful. But sometimes, like, when you get a taste of a good thing, sometimes it's best to just be like, you know what? The algorithm works in mysterious ways. Don't ask questions. Just accept it. If you can reverse engineer it and try to figure it out, cool. But I think that I think that people get, like, a lot of times they get a little bit, like, mentally greedy, where they're like, it's doing well, but what if it could be doing better? And they go in and they start tinkering with things, and then they, like, mess up their process.
Actually had a question later on that said that E-Rank told them that their listing doesn't read well and they should update it, but it's their best seller. Should they edit the title? No.
E-Rank is not telling you to change anything. In fact, E-Rank, if that listing is selling,
don't touch anything that's selling, even if it sucks.
There is a thing right in your listing audit that I even told Anthony, I'm like, we need to put this in the listing audit, which we did. There's something in our listing audit that says you know, if the listing has been selling, it will give you a big warning not to touch it if it's selling well. Don't touch it. eRank is not telling you to do anything. eRank is saying, hey, if this listing isn't performing the way you want it to, consider making these updates and see if that helps. But we're just, what we suggest to eRank is Etsy's best practices. What the listing audit does is it goes through Etsy's best practices, it matches those up to your listing. And if there's any, you know, part of Etsy's best practices that you're not following, what you're seeing is probably it's telling you that you're keyword stuffing. But if you're finding success with keyword stuffing, hey, there's no problem with that. The algorithm doesn't care either way. Don't touch anything that's selling ever for any reason.
So going into the Venmo thing, they said Venmo's great. The fees are decent. So much cheaper than point of sale systems back in the day. Very
Okay.
convenient. IRL buyers are used to it and expect it. That is one thing I will say.
Okay.
If you are selling in person, I mean, realistically, you should have every option available. Something that can take a card, something that can take like Apple Pay.
In person is different.
In person is different. Make sure you have Cash App, Venmo. Make sure you have all PayPal. PayPal GNS is the best way to be secure when selling something because it protects the customer as well. But I don't like PayPal. We use it, but I don't like it. Because people have their loyalties towards like what payment methods and companies they have. People are weird nowadays and they only use certain things. So if you're selling in person, it's best to have everything. Plus things like Venmo and Cash App, you literally just put your phone number, and I think you have to use your ID because it's a payment system. But it took me like minutes to set all my stuff up.
I'm going to go ahead and shoot just ahead to this question just real quick because it's relevant right now with the TikTok ban.
Okay.
Who are the Instagram coaches that you recommended in one of your videos? There are 3 people that you need to follow for Instagram. Everybody needs to follow these 3 individuals.
Jock Bronson.
Modern Millie is awesome, but the main person that you need to follow is Brock Johnson because he is 100% Instagram. Brock is who I get all my information from. I don't even see very many of Millie's posts because she's more focused on content creators, which is applicable to me, but not necessarily to you guys. Brock Johnson is the big one. He is the one who will give you all the updates, all the good stuff. I love Brock. The other one is Adam Mosseri. He is the CEO of Instagram. And if there are updates or anything, you know, that you need to know about how Instagram works, Adam will post about it. So Adam Mosseri, he's a really cool guy. I actually really like him. He keeps his community updated. And Brock Johnson. Those are the 2 where I get all my information. Modern Millie, she does have really great info. I actually prefer to follow Modern Millie on YouTube. And I honestly prefer her older videos. I don't particularly care for the direction that her content has been going, but her older videos are super valuable. So if you want to deep dive on her channel a little bit, there's a lot of really good Instagram videos and TikTok videos, you know, if for any reason TikTok sticks around.
Ginger said, problem is with Venmo, most sellers use it as a personal account, not the business account to avoid fees. The craft fairs I've been to, 80% of the sellers are using Venmo personal. See, now I don't know how that works. Do you have to use personal if you're still a sole proprietor? Do you have to use business if you're still a sole proprietor because you're still technically a personal and not a business? I don't know. They'll screw around and find out if something's wrong with it come tax time. Yeah, everybody talking about how crappy Joann's is. Our Joann's is always gross. It always has been gross, and it always will be gross. I don't know why. It's always a little bit too dim in there, and the floors are always like 75% clean. Like, like there's always just like, you can tell people have been walking around all day, but it's like that always. It never changes.
California's Joann's was nice. It
was
huge.
nice. Ours is gross.
Yeah.
It's in a nice part of town. It's really confusing.
Yeah, it's pretty dinky.
I like them as a company, but man, they haven't been able to. Their stuff is never organized well.
Good morning.
Good morning. Never mind.
Nope, she's
She's
gone
like,
again.
I'm going to sleep like a demon with my eyelids open.
She does. She sleeps with her eyes open, but her eyes are rolled back, so you only get the whites.
I am photographing a new variant color for existing listings. I want to promote this new color because I think it's amazing. Should I also make a new listing for that paint job?
Sure. Absolutely.
Test it out.
That's a cool way to test it. And then, you know, you can have that as your thumbnail. Yeah, absolutely. I would. I mean, for the sake of collecting data, you know me, I love testing things out. I would do it and turn on your track changes tool within eRank. That way you can monitor how the views, favorites, and sales of those variants, you know, those 2 listings, how they differ. But yeah. What are you looking for?
Adam Mosseri. It's not Mosseri, it's Mosseri.
Mosseri, sorry. There you go.
Somebody asked how to spell it.
If you search Adam, on Instagram, he's like the first person who pops up. Wouldn't you know that? He is still their CEO, right?
I have no idea.
I mean, I just saw a video from him like yesterday, so I'm pretty sure that he's still around.
My Instagram grid changed from squares to rectangles last night. What aspect ratio do you recommend taking photos for Instagram?
Don't change anything yet, because mine is still squares. It sounds like they're just running tests and they do that. There has been no official update posted by Instagram saying, and unless it's happened, you know, we don't all have it. And just like when Etsy makes a weird little change, sometimes it's just something that you'll see for a couple days and then they'll realize, you know, this test group didn't respond well. We're going to reel back on it. So don't change your strategy at all. Give it a little bit of time. I switched to posts in the portrait aspect ratio, which is, you know, a little taller. They used to be perfect squares. Now they're a little taller, but they still show in a perfect square grid on my profile. But in terms of, you know, the actual, like how they're displaying on grid, mine hasn't changed. Let me check again. Mr. Moore, you should check too, because I'm
looking up something else.
Oh, okay. But you're on iPhone. So, nope, mine are still squares. So yeah, I'm going to assume it's a test. You're probably one of the lucky ones in a test group, and they're just trying to see how, you know, users respond and what the feedback is like, and if everybody hates it. I hope they don't change it, because you want to take up as much space as possible when it comes to images on a screen, and squares will better optimize the size, you know, on the screen. If the grid is still threes, why would they do it as a rectangle? That would make the images smaller and harder to see, which wouldn't take up as much screen space. You want to take up as much screen space as possible.
So this person challenged. I Googled to see if Etsy gives new shops a boost, and there's an article from a source that says Etsy confirms new shops get a boost from 2017, and also Google AI thinks yes. So Google AI's, I looked it up just to challenge it. The sentence Google AI is using for that is, when a new listing is created, it gets a small temporary boost in search to results, so Etsy search can quickly learn more about how shoppers interact with it. That is the source that it used to determine that new Etsy shops. So Google AI has already been discredited here.
Yeah, it's not, don't go based on the Google AI. Always go to the article from Etsy. If it's not from Etsy, then it is not official. You have to go based on the official sources that are from the horse's mouth. Google AI is just attempting to summarize, but it's not always going to be accurate, because they also told pregnant women that they should eat a rock every day to have a healthy baby.
Yes, it did. And there's nothing in any of the other sources that say anything about that.
Yeah. So again, it's ultimate guide to search.
If it's not in the ultimate guide to search, if it's not in there, it's not real.
Right. Or spoken directly by Andrew Stanton in a video. Those are the sources that you've got to use as the Etsy SEO Bible.
And feel free to email the source that you're getting. I'll read through it. We'll find it. Also, as we stated earlier there are people that have done like the Etsy ups that have completely lied multiple times. During the last one, they did the Etsy. We talked about it earlier in the stream. What was it? They talked about something to do with SEO, and the person,
it was the, what's the girl, do you guys, the real pretty one with the frizzy hair, do you guys, she does all the events, super cute, she has the curly hair. Anyway, she was in a video where they talked about using your descriptions for keyword matching. That is not how Etsy uses descriptions at all. And she is in an interview with Andrew Stanton from the March 2023 Etsy Up event. I have this on my channel because I've had so many people ask about it. I actually clipped that bit, and it's in a description video that I made, where Andrew Stanton specifically says, we do not use description for query matching or the keyword matching phase. We use descriptions to see if a customer has a particular affinity for a style. You know, like basically they use it for context. They're trying to gather context on how they should match products to searches, not through keyword matching, but through those customized profiles that Etsy builds per each shopper, because we all have a personalized profile on Etsy that Etsy gathers based on our behavior as shoppers. Then they use little clues that you've placed in your description to match that. Anyway, she sat in that interview, and then there is a video on their YouTube channel where she says that they use it for keyword matching, and that is not true. So again, you know, occasionally things get flubbed, which is why you always want to go based on Etsy's Ultimate Guide to Search. That is the Etsy Bible, and it is, you know, no matter what, that is what you follow, unless it is directly coming from Andrew Stanton's mouth. Okay.
We'll look at it later.
And I'm going to assume that what a lot of people assume is because they're listing a lot of new items. When their shop is new, they're listing new items. They're thinking that their shop is getting a boost, when in reality, it's not their shop getting a boost.
Listing, which does say that is in Etsy's guide to search.
Right. The listings are what get the boost. And if you are listing products, you know, because you just opened a shop, then yeah, of course, those listings are going to get the boost. But you're not going to get any additional benefit from closing a shop that's underperforming and starting a new shop because you think it's going to get a different type of boost. The boost that you receive is based on the listings. So, and your shop could be 10 years old. If you list new products, those are all going to get a boost.
Right. It's not the shop that gets a boost. It's the listings that get a boost. And there may be some connection that new listings from a new shop get a boost. I mean, realistically, how even ChatGPT said there are no official sources stating that while you may get a boost, there's nothing proving that you get a boost. Etsy has never once said in an official document that you get a boost like that. And if I'm wrong, please send it to me. I will correct myself.
Yeah, we've covered this over at eRank for years because we've heard this, but I'm hearing it more and more like lately. But
there's a lot of people in the forums that say it. There's people that say in the forums that once you have 300 listings, your listings get a boost.
There's nothing official from Etsy that says that.
Right.
But feel free, if you've got an official source, like, you are always welcome to email me.
Not a forum, because the forum is not a good resource.
No, official source. Feel free to email me. Actually, email Marc at support@handmadealphaacademy.com.
Yep.
That would be the easiest way for us to review it.
Yeah, we're 2 minutes over, so I think we're good. Let me make sure there weren't any pressing questions. I feel like there was one that I wanted to...
Okay. Well, while since you guys are still here, and I mean, her eyes are open, so I'll pull her up one more time. She's been here. She's been so good. She's been so well behaved. She is really sleepy. Look at her. Oh, sugar bear. Poor baby. She's ready for probably go potty.
All right, I don't have anything here.
Guys, thanks for hanging out. We appreciate you. Oh, you go see. Okay. This Tuesday's video, I'm gonna finally talk about the Creative Fabrica stuff. I don't know, you guys brought it up last week, so we're gonna talk about it. The reason that I don't support Creative Fabrica and what you guys need to be cautious about, because 2 of my sellers did get sued after utilizing assets from Creative Fabrica. I'm not gonna give any specifics about those students. I'm not gonna give any specifics about the law firm or anything like that. I'm going to keep those parts relatively vague because I do not want anyone to like get in trouble, including me. But I am going to be discussing exactly what happened and my opinions on it. So again, it's kind of a touchy subject. It's one that I've been nervous about talking about. I don't want Creative Fabrica to like come after me, but at the same time, I'm stating facts. And I personally met with Creative Fabrica to try to resolve this, and they didn't. So I think that now it's been almost a year. It'll be a year in April. I feel comfortable coming out and talking about it. So yeah, that's going to be scary. I'm actually really nervous because I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate for this one, but I feel like it's something that, you know, if 2 of my students got sued, like, we need to be careful. And I think that if you use Creative Fabrica, you really need to go through their terms of use page, because you'll be surprised if you actually read through it. It's kind of shocking. But anyway, guys.
I'm not shocked by it. I'm not shocked by it at all.
Guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Sugar Bear needs to go pee, so we're going to go ahead and bounce out. But we appreciate you. Thank you to everyone who donated for our California wildfire recovery fund.
Thank you. It's still open, by the way. You guys can donate below the video. We don't see a penny of that. It goes straight to the people that need it.
Even if you're watching the replay, please consider donating. Oh, man, my voice is going out, and I still have a long video to record. So we appreciate you guys, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, Sugar Bear.